talk about Emari Demercado, the running back out of TCU, got extended looks with James Conner out for Arizona, and he gets stuffed immediately on this first play that he gets a touch. And it's a difficult play and kind of a thorny one to really talk about immediately, but I think it's worth delving into because one of the things that really good starting running backs do in the NFL is mitigate losses. And this is a great play by number 94, and then the linebacker here who gets into the crease and ultimately stuffs Demercado. Now, what I like to do when I evaluate running back play is in a situation like this where you already established that it was a good play by the defense. You're not going to put too much on the running back here, okay? But theoretically, you start thinking, well, where could he have mitigated this loss? Could there have been a way that he reasonably could have mitigated this loss? And I'll give you a hint. It begins with how the play is designed by the offense. The intent of the play design is you have two pullers. And when you have two pullers on a gap play, what you're trying to do ideally is follow the backside puller and work your way to the front side puller. What happens here with Demercado is he's already at the front shoulder of the backside puller. You really want to begin this play at the backside shoulder of the backside puller and work your way to the front side shoulder of the front side puller. Okay, so when you talk about that, look at the two pullers. There's the front side puller, there's the back side puller. He wants to get to that back shoulder, work his way to the front side shoulder of this defender. Theoretically, he sees the penetration by 94 during this exchange. And then he's trying to cut here. But he was already at the front side shoulder of the backside puller. He's a little early there. It might not have been mattered if it was well blocked. But theoretically, is as he takes this, instead of already sliding to the outside as he takes the exchange, as he is right here, and having to cut back inside, if he were actually at the backside shoulder and gets downhill to the backside shoulder of this puller, he might see this backside gap here. So theoretically, he was following it the way he should have, setting himself up backside shoulder to front side shoulder. If he's at that backside shoulder immediately, he may see this, avoid number 57 because he's here instead of here. And that one or two step difference of where he is in terms of angle of approach, if he's here, he may be able to get to here faster. Again, not going to sit there and dock him for that in terms of a situation overall, but theoretically, this is what the best runners do, is really understand how to set up these pulls, and he might have avoided this compounding this situation. He might have turned this into a really positive play. It's what the best runners do. That said, when we look at the rest of his game, as the game went on, he got a little more confident. He had some better opportunities in front of him too. This is a 6-yard gain. And you see him do a nice job here of, working downhill. He's still at the front side shoulder of this puller though. Again, work backside to front side. It's a little bit better because then it allows these linebackers on this side to press inside and not flow towards the puller to that outside shoulder and get there. He can hold them for the potential of more of a cutback here. But he works downhill, and as that puller gets to that linebacker, he stops and cuts and plants himself to the backside and runs hard to push through. So again, backside shoulder to front side shoulder. He kind of is already at an angle of the front side shoulder. If he stays backside here, he keeps 55 downhill and maybe worried about this gap. And then when he gets downhill here and makes a cut, it's easier for 70 to get to him. And maybe in a way, he gets through here and 70 has a better angle so that he can make that second cut in the crease and not have to run through it. But still, 6 yards, nice look. He's finishing strong in terms of low pad level. But again, he's taking on defenders in a manner where does he really have to take on that defender right in the chest like that? Well, 55's in the way here as well. So really, when you look at this run, you can see that he immediately tries to bounce that outside in towards the leverage of the defender right here. If he stays downhill a little bit more, gets that defender thinking maybe he can disengage and work inside, take one more step, and then make this opening. That press may give him a little bit more room to work across this block. Or when he makes his cut and opens his hips right here, kind of slide a little bit more with maybe not as wide of a step, and maybe make a little cut back inside here and beat this defender. Again, talking about the difference between good and great, this is good enough. Opens his hips, shows the ability to work downhill, and then just finish strong and have his blocker help him get the push. This is a nice press and cutback. See how he alters his striding, gets within a step, and then finds that cutback? That's a nice run. Let's take a look at it from this angle. You can see here he works towards this double team. Maybe you want him again to press in between the double team. Work towards that middle so that it gets 55 moved in a little more so that 76 really can have great position. Instead, he's all the way downhill here and has this defender coming off early here, and then he cuts it outside. Now he's able to make the cut back and avoid two defenders in the process of doing it. He's got good quickness and good burst, so that works well. But ideally, take this exchange, head a little bit more downhill here, and you get these two blockers leaning in towards between the double team. And when he makes that cut back, he's going to avoid this guy, this guy, this guy, and have a bigger opening right here that maybe he could work through and not have to make a second cut outside and pull through a reach and ultimately get, have to break a tackle that way. Or for 55 right here to not be covered up as much because he already has that leverage right here. If Demercado presses towards the double team in the middle of it a little bit better, 55 may not have a chance to come off of this block to the left side as easily as he does. Still, 8 yards is good. This just could have been a much bigger gain. But, again, for his first, extended look in the NFL, he's finding cutback lanes, he's pressing creases, he's running hard, he's not a big guy. He does have the quickness you're looking for. He does have cutting ability. Take a look at it, right here. Arizona's blocking well. He's just not setting up the blocks expertly. This is a nice press outside here. This is a good example of a better run. He gets this defender flowing outside. But immediately, see how the defender's on him? That's because he doesn't make that second really opportunity to ride the wave. Look at, both Chris Brooks and Jaleel McLaughlin on my YouTube channel. And when I talk about riding the wave, not only are you pressing here, but then you get downhill and press these two guys further inside so that this linebacker has to head up to 72 and get blocked. And then you make the cutback tight across their backs. And now you have this blocker and 72 both on 57, and he's going to get through that crease and get into the secondary. But he cuts it back, and instead of staying inside here until he's about a step or away and then sliding across, he cuts back too soon, and that allows this linebacker to get back into the play, and now he's just dealing one-on-one with that. Still good gain. Again, just the difference between what Demercado does and McLaughlin's doing. This is about speed. He's still, right here, just bouncing it outside and shows the burst to get the corner. This is not a lot of nuance here. He's already got penetration right here. He sees that, so he's got to get outside that immediately. And it's just it's just straight up acceleration to the corner. He does a good job. Overall, Demercado, look, he has the physical tools to be in the NFL. He can catch the football. He finishes strong with what he can do. He's not a 220-pound back who's going to break a lot of tackles, but he has good pad level. He has some understanding of cutback ability and setting things up, but not an advanced level of setting things up that you'd want to see from a actual starting back. But if they need him, to be the starter right now, Arizona's blocking well enough that he can get some of what's blocked. And then if he can get an open space, he's got the Jets to turn it into more.